Hi, I'm Emily from Mica Estates, and I'm here interviewing Mica, our winemaker. And these are the wonderful questions that our club members have been asking us, and we're going to give you a little feedback. Mica, will you be bringing back Cote de Cruz Blanc and Rum with White?
Well, the Costa Cruz Blanc and the Royal White are the same wine. So what we did is we said Costa Cruz Blanc is such a great wine to have a whole brand based around it, and that's the Royal Wolf White. So we built that Royal brand based on Royal Wolf White. We are following the new release in March. So yes, we're bringing it back. It's a spring wine, and it usually sells out around summertime.
It's one of our club members' favorites. We have a lot of club members, so that's
Good. It's a fantastic one.
And what wines do you choose to release for club release?
Well, we base our club releases on a few things. One is how the wines are tasting in the bottle. So when you bottle wines, they mature in the bottle. We want to make sure we release those basically when they're tasting their best or when they're approaching tasting their best. We try to hit that number. And then we have to kind of base it on how our last vintage is selling. We want to be sold out our last vintage and then release right when the new that sells out. So we're trying to time that. Sometimes we do a really good job. That's another we miss a little to moving target. So we're trying to, always use something bright and fresh, but it still needs to be the right flavor profile that we're looking for.
Okay. Mica, so what is your favorite wine to produce?
I think probably my favorite wine to produce is the Royal Wolf White. I do that in a really unique way. I make a wine that's kind of counter to what you would think for most of the American palate, and it makes a wine that's really unique and very subtle and soft and elegant, and it's just something that basically only I do, so I really like making it.
So, Mica, what is your favorite wine you have ever made?
Well, a long time ago, so it's long. God, 2009, so 16 years ago. I used to make a Cab Franc dominant wine out of the Central Coast, and that's actually the birth of the namesake, because there was a year where they picked a little Merlot into it, and for whatever reason, that wine was absolutely phenomenal. And it was kind of a fluke, and it's one of those wines is the favorite wine I ever made because everything about it was messed up in the beginning, and in the end, it became this phenomenal, elegant, charming wine. And I was just probably my favorite wine just because of the cacophony of airs.
It's a lot of our wine and club members' favorite wine to do. What's your favorite wine to drink when not food pairing?
I think my favorite wine is Sauvignon Blanc, just because I go through the most of it, so I kind of makes favorite wine. It's just, a lot of times it's easy, it's lower in alcohol, and it's just something that's like, it's this bright and refreshing wine. A nice way to have that afternoon.
Yeah. So, Michael, a lot of our club members have been asking, are you going to produce more Spanish Reserve Cabernet?
Yeah, so we released that in December, and it sold incredibly well and sold out really fast. So we are going to make more of it. We already have made more of it. But we're kind of limited on the grape supply and how much we can make in total. So it's always going to be a lower production wine. It's just, that's the nature of it, and they'll keep the quality high. We're also making more Spanish Camargue Rosé because that sold really well. So we've ramped production up a little on that, tried to match our sales to our production numbers. It's always moving target. So the more you buy, the more I make.
So, Mica, do you have tours where you make the wine?
Currently, we don't. So we've put a lot of focus on keeping our wines at the best price points we can. So instead of building a really fancy winery, which takes years of permitting and a lot of capital outlay, we have an industrial building. It's not very pretty, but it's very practical. So for us, it works really well on the production side. It makes really nice wine. It does that cost-efficient manner, which is better for our consumers, but it's not a customer-facing winery. Eventually, we would love to have a customer-facing winery. Love it. But it's going to be years of permitting and millions of dollars, so it's all down the road.
Check. Yeah. And do you ever do barrel tasting?
I don't like to do barrel tasting. So as someone who works really hard to make these small lot wines, they're very unique and interesting. The wine in the barrel, each individual barrel tastes different. It's not homogenized. It's not a finished product. And I don't like presenting the consumer with a non-finished product and saying, hey, trust me, it'll be great. I want you to know it's great when you buy it. So I stay away from the barrel tasting programs.
So, Michael, would you consider partnering with a brewery to make a sparkling, a wine with a beer product?
Yeah, so we work with other alcohol producers. Recently, in the last few years, they've relaxed the laws. So there's a lot of laws about separation of different entities. So beer had one set of rules, distillation had another set, wine had another set. And they've kind of allowed those to co-mingle now. So we're looking at doing some of that work. It'd be fun to work with the brewery distillery.
Yeah.
There'd be small lot, really experimental stuff, kind of like the fringe wine, though. That'd be fun to do.
Quality of Eldorado wines continue to improve and the prices continue to increase.
Well, there's a host of reasons for that. One is that, well, the labor issues. Fruit is significantly more expensive than it used to be, and so are all of our other costs. So part of that cost we have to pass on to the consumer, and that is, reflected in increased pricing. Another is, you have to make money in your business so you can have, this winery, customer-focused winery that people want to see. We have to pay for those things somehow. Wine is a hard thing to make money on. But you look at the wine here, the economics of what we produce at Mica Cellars are significantly better than they are in Napa or Sonoma. Because we are, we have an industrial winery, and we are trying to keep our costs as low as possible, and we're passing the savings to the consumer just as much as we can.
Micah, during production, do you add anything other than grapes?
So there's a lot of things that are added to wine. Some things are essential, and some things that bigger wineries use aren't. One of the nice things of being a small scale is I don't have to have some of their issues. So I add some commercial yeast because it's an easy way to do assurance that the fermentation is actually going to happen because I'm adding yeast. And then we add some sulfites, but very minimally. Then we add bentonite. So bentonite is a clay. It's a naturally occurring substance. You literally could just dig it out of the vineyard, throw it in the fermenters if you felt like it. But we buy refined bentonites. There's no rocks in it. And when you throw it in the fermenter, it takes the pollen out. So it makes it so you don't get a headache. Most people equate the headache they get from wine with sulfites, and it's more likely allergens. So the allergen is not sulfites. So we probably pollen, and the bentonite will take the pollen out. There are some other things we tend to add, oak barrels, for example, but we try to keep things just grapes and oak, and that's we use as little anything else that we can.
So, Micah, what is your favorite part of winemaking process?
Well, drinking it, but
Mine too.
Really. So when you're making wine, you get the grapes in the door, and the day they arrive, you've done all this work and all this prep to get those grapes in. And my favorite part is the first few days of fermentation, because it goes from being a grape to being a wine almost instantly. And you can taste the development, you can taste the changes, you're creating something very rapidly. And I've done it enough that I can kind of know how those wines are going to evolve and how they're going to become something. So it's like the first few days of fermentation, it's a child, and you get to work with that child and teach you what you want it to be. Those are my favorite parts of fermentation, favorite parts of winemaking.